two women are seated at the breakfast table, enjoying an early morning cup of tea.
Early morning voices, flattered down with sleep, rattle of the teacups, washing in a heap. Take out all the empties, rescue burning toast, wipe the steaming window panes, fetch the early post. Early morning voices, ready for the day to begin. Early morning voices, mugs of scalding tea, comfortable chatter, meaningless and free. Every day the sameness, warming and secure, keeping back reality, only safe and pure. Early morning voices, ready for the day to begin.
Mum's daughter Shelley has left home to live with Spud, a rough youth who has treated the girl very badly. Shelley burst in. She is very distressed.
Hello, Mum. I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Please try to understand. Returned from the promised land. Don't you laugh? Well, it became a desert, and I've nowhere else to go. Hey, I'm glad you've come home. How could you have known the world is a trap for girls like you? You made your bed, and I lay on it, didn't I, Mother? Then you should have stayed. Leave her alone, can't you see? She's rolling. Her face is as white as a sheet, and her arms are so painfully thin. I told her what to expect. She couldn't wait to get into the swing of it. The swing of it. That's what she said. She could have done anything. She had the brains. You could have brought your friends to tea, those bright young things with an honest degree. Instead you chose that thing called Spud, uncouth, unwashed, and a first-class dud. I could have paid a visit to see your room in halls, and laughed at all the fun you've had at undergraduate balls. If only you had listened, if only you had cared, the anguish that I've suffered might well have all been spared. I saw you proud in cap and gown, resplendent on the chimney breast. Compared with all the other kids, you stood out well above the rest. You could have lived my hopes and dreams, the things that passed me by. You had the opportunity for which I would have died. If only you had listened, if only you had cared, the anguish that I've suffered might well have all been spared. You shunned respectability, you talked so high and mightily, as greedily you snatched at life and filled your days with petty strife. My shining little innocent, my dear
is conciliatory, but Mum stalks out of the room looking very annoyed. Shelley tells Gran all about her experiences with Spud.
When you're so much in love, you don't argue the toss. He called the tune, and he was the boss. I thought him so exciting that it whipped me to a fever, overflown with machismo and grin for the chart of fever. A liberated modern man, a cut above the rest. He said I spoiled his street cred with my stupid bourgeois ways. He roughed me up a little and left me bruised and dazed. I only changed his underwear and washed his dirty socks. We shed little love nest, just big enough for two. And there behind the old settee, my darling's prized possession, a gleaming Kawasaki, his permanent obsession. His permanent obsession. Where can I go now? What is there for me? Have I reached the end to broken hearts mend? If I knew the answers, I'd stop all the pain, forget what is past, and start living again. If it wasn't so tragic, it'd be funny.
Mum has been listening outside the door and now enters the room. She tells Shelley angrily he wasn't your sort. An argument develops between the two and ends with Mum leaving the room, again obviously still disgusted with Shelley, who is now very upset indeed. Dad would have understood, she wails.
He wasn't your sort. All those A-levels, and you gave them all up. For what? How do you think I felt? So underneath the belt, when Mrs. Fairbrother told me about the motorbike in the living room. A motorbike in the living room. What could I say? It made her day. So what? You talk about the social as if it were a club, familiar as the corner shop and trivial as a pub. Important things you laugh away, a life of come day go day. Will you listen to me, just listen to me? You chuck your hate mail in the bin, you'd think it was a mortal sin to settle all your unpaid bills. I bet you smoke some funny things and he for sure has bought some pills. Will you listen to me, just listen? And what about your motley friends, a gross unwholesome lot? Your happiness and welfare concerns them not a jot. Will you listen to me, just listen to me and let me have a word? That girl who went to London to sample all his delights, found shivering in a cardboard box in a sleazy street behind. Oh, will you listen to me, let me have a word? All my life you've treated me as if you know. And what about the others, the junkies and the drunks? The victims of society who somehow gone astray. You talk about their guilt and shame in your clever intellectual way. You wanted freedom, so you said you had the right to choose. Listen! Throw away the effort, what an easy way to lose. Listen! But someone has to pay for freedom. Someone has to bear the load. You ought to thank your lucky stars. You've turned back from that fateful road. All my life you've treated me as if you never hurt. That would have understood. upon the swings, mess about in silly things, walking with my daddy in the park. The air so clean, the sky so blind, and all the world it seemed was fine, just fine. We fed the ducks beside the pool and licked ice cream to keep us cool. Earth and trees, the wind and sun, Daddy and me were just as one, walking with my daddy in the park. The air so clean, the sky so bright, and all the world it seemed was fine, just fine.
Gran unwittingly let slip a family secret that greatly shocked Shelley, who, as the result of what she is told, now sees things differently.
He wasn't your dad, not your real dad. What are you saying? I shouldn't have said, she'll never forgive me. I'm getting old, it just came out. Your real dad was a bit rough, a bit common. He bowled your mother over. Life with him wouldn't have been a pasture full of clover. Your mother had ambitions, a secretary no less. If she had often married him, she'd have landed in a mess. Anyway, he dropped his H's. The dad you've always known worked in the same office as your mother. He admired her and she married him, making things respectable. Things were different then, I'd say more black and white. People's indiscretions were swept right out of sight. If you complied, then all was fine. It always paid to toe the line. Things were different then. Things were different then, not always as they seemed. Clean and neatly packaged, we lived and hoped and dreamed. No dirty linen on display, life's little frailties kept at bay. Things were different then. Things were different then. Now life is loose and free. Everything's open for the world to see. Yet hide or shout aloud the pain. It seems to me it's much the same. Things were not so different then. She should have told me About my dad, I mean. What a hypocrite! How dare she? She's a snob, and worse. Don't tell her that I told you, please! She thought it best for herself and you see. Your mother's been on part of the same path as you.
Mum has calmed down a bit, and her motherly instincts come into play. She returns and seeks a reconciliation, though not quite able yet to embrace her daughter. She invites Shelley to help her bake a cake, indicating that the girl is accepted back into her home. Gran says, "We love you, and that's all that matters." Shelley lovingly puts her arms around her grandmother's neck as the three settle down together.
I've made up my mind. You can stay. There'll be recriminations, I expect. After all, none of us is perfect. You can say that again. It'll be nice having someone young in the house again. Look what time it is. That cake should have been in the oven. Shelley, you used to make such lovely cakes. Come and help me. Come on, lass. Buck up. We love you, and that's all that matters. Early morning voices, mugs of scalding tea.